In a move that has sent shockwaves through the international community, Iran has just formally accepted a major deal proposed by Russia, challenging the sustained pressure from the West. This development is not just a new chapter in the alliance between Tehran and Moscow, but also a bold act of defiance against the long-standing efforts of the United States and its European allies to isolate both countries. Iran's decision to deepen its partnership with Russia amid heightened sanctions and geopolitical tension signals a significant shift in global alliances and could have far-reaching consequences across the Middle East, Europe, and even global energy markets. In today's video, we'll explore the implications of Iran accepting Russia's deal, what led to this moment, how it affects Western strategies in the region, and most importantly, what might happen next as this partnership reshapes the global power structure. Iran and Russia have a long history of collaboration, but this deal marks the beginning of a new phase in their relationship. Over the years, these two nations have found common ground in opposing U.S. influence in the Middle East and shared grievances over economic sanctions imposed by the West. With both countries facing severe economic and political isolation, Russia, due to its ongoing conflict with Ukraine, and Iran, due to its nuclear program and regional activities, their alliance has only grown stronger. So, what exactly is this deal that Iran just accepted? Reports indicate that it involves a comprehensive energy partnership that includes Russia's investment in Iran's oil and gas sector, cooperation on nuclear technology, and arms transfers. In return, Tehran will support Russia's geopolitical objectives, including through military cooperation in regions like Syria, and will provide greater access to its energy infrastructure. This deal is a major win for both countries, especially given the immense pressure from Western sanctions. For Iran, the partnership with Russia provides much-needed financial and technical support for its oil and gas industry, which has struggled under years of sanctions. For Russia, securing an ally in the Middle East helps counterbalance the influence of NATO and ensures that its energy exports will continue to have markets outside of Europe. This agreement comes at a time when both Iran and Russia are under intense scrutiny and economic sanctions from the West. The US and the European Union have imposed sweeping sanctions on Russia since its invasion of Ukraine in 2022. Meanwhile, Iran has faced continuous sanctions due to its nuclear ambitions, regional proxy conflicts, and accusations of human rights abuses. The West has long sought to isolate Iran and Russia economically and politically. The hope was that by cutting them off from global markets, both regimes would be forced to make concessions, whether in terms of nuclear negotiations in Iran's case or ending military aggression in Russia's. However, the acceptance of this deal shows that Tehran and Moscow are finding ways to circumvent Western pressure and sanctions. By deepening their economic and military ties, they are carving out alternative pathways for survival and growth. Russia's assistance in Iran's energy sector, for instance, could help the country ramp up production and develop new oil fields, while sidestepping Western financial systems by using alternative currencies or barter trade. This challenges the very foundation of the US-led sanctions regime, which relies on global financial dominance and the centrality of the US dollar. Iran's decision to accept Russia's offer sends a clear message to Washington. Sanctions are not working. Instead of being forced into compliance, Iran and Russia are building new alliances that could shift the balance of power in the Middle East and beyond. Iran's acceptance of this deal is not just about economic survival. It's a strategic calculation rooted in its desire to assert its sovereignty and bolster its regional influence. Tehran has been navigating a complex web of alliances and rivalries in the Middle East for decades. While it has faced opposition from Saudi Arabia, Israel, and other regional powers aligned with the West, Iran has managed to expand its influence through proxy forces in Lebanon, Iraq, Syria, and Yemen. By strengthening ties with Russia, Iran aims to solidify its role as a key player in the region. Moscow's support has already been crucial in keeping Syrian President Bashar al-Assad in power, a victory for Iran's broader regional strategy. Now, with the economic and military backing of Russia, Iran can push forward with its ambitions without fearing immediate reprisal from the West. Additionally, Iran's decision to deepen its partnership with Russia signals a shift in how it views global power structures. In the past, Iran was more open to engaging with Western powers through negotiations over its nuclear program and diplomacy. However, the collapse of the Iran nuclear deal, JCPOA, and the relentless pressure from the U.S. under both the Trump and Biden administrations have pushed Tehran closer to Moscow and Beijing. Iran is increasingly aligning itself with the BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, advocating for a multipolar world where Western dominance is challenged by emerging powers. The acceptance of Russia's deal by Iran sets the stage for a realignment of power in the Middle East and beyond. The implications of this partnership could be vast, affecting global energy markets, military alliances, and diplomatic relations. One of the most immediate consequences will be felt in global energy markets. Iran's oil and gas reserves are some of the largest in the world, and Russia's expertise in energy production and infrastructure development could help Iran increase its output despite sanctions. This partnership could undermine Western efforts to control global oil prices and weaken the influence of organizations like OPEC, which has historically been dominated by Saudi Arabia and its Western allies. On the military front, this deal could lead to an increase in arms transfers between Iran and Russia. With both countries facing significant military challenges, Russia in Ukraine and Iran with its regional adversaries, closer military collaboration could have destabilizing effects in several regions. Syria, for example, where both Iran and Russia have played a major role in supporting the Assad regime, could see renewed activity as the two nations work to consolidate their influence. Russia's support for Iran's nuclear program could also escalate tensions with the West. Although both countries claim that their nuclear collaboration is for peaceful purposes, the West has long been concerned about Iran's potential to develop nuclear weapons. Increased Russian involvement in Iran's nuclear program could complicate efforts by the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, to monitor Tehran's compliance with international agreements. The Iran-Russia alliance could also shift the balance of power in the Middle East, particularly in relation to the Gulf states and Israel. Both countries have been longtime adversaries of Iran, and this new deal could prompt them to deepen their own military and economic ties with Western nations. Israel, in particular, may feel even more threatened by a stronger, more emboldened Iran, leading to heightened tensions in the region. The U.S. and its European allies are unlikely to remain passive in the face of this new alliance. Washington has already imposed extensive sanctions on both Iran and Russia, but the failure of these measures to prevent the two countries from moving forward with such a significant deal raises questions about the efficacy of the current sanctions regime. In response, the U.S. could escalate its efforts to isolate Iran and Russia further. This might include imposing secondary sanctions on companies or countries that do business with either nation, which could lead to more tension with countries like China and India, both of which have continued trading with Iran and Russia despite Western pressure. Additionally, NATO allies might strengthen their military presence in the Middle East, reinforcing support for Israel and Gulf states wary of Iran's growing influence. However, there is also a risk that pushing too hard could backfire, driving Iran, Russia, and their allies closer together. In a world where U.S. global influence is being challenged on multiple fronts, the emergence of alternative alliances like BRICS could undermine the effectiveness of U.S.-led coalitions and diminish Western power in the long run. Iran's decision to accept Russia's deal is a game-changer in global politics. It not only defies Western pressure, but also sets the stage for a new geopolitical reality where U.S. and European influence is increasingly contested by emerging powers. The implications of this alliance will ripple across the Middle East, Europe, and the world, affecting everything from energy markets to military dynamics. What do you think? Will the Iran-Russia partnership fundamentally change the global power structure, or will the West find new ways to counter this growing alliance? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this analysis, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more updates on the evolving geopolitical landscape.